It was at this moment that he knew.
He bucked up. Welcome. You're listening to Bucked Up with Sam Buck.
Fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you have fucked up.
You know what movie holds up is like to watch like when you're older is the SpongeBob movie.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Not the live action one, but like it's a live action, but it's the weird the stupid fucking.
I actually enjoyed that one, but that's also because I got way too fucked up when I went to go see it.
I haven't seen that one, so I can't talk shit. I'm sure that if I got high and watched it, I'd be like, this is the best. This is like Citizen Kane. But the first one I rewatched like a few years ago with some of my friends. We just were like chilling, smoking. We're like, dude, let's just watch the SpongeBob movie. And we were all watching it. We're like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. Like, this is kind of like a masterpiece. It's like more enjoyable to watch as an adult, if you could, consider yourself. I mean, compared to when I watched it in 5th grade or whatever. Yeah, it's a vibe.
Yeah, because you like understand it. But I guess welcome to the Bucked Up podcast. Thank you so much, Dan Carney, for being on.
Dude, thank you so much for having me, man. I really appreciate it. It's good to meet you guys.
Yeah, I got to see you at the Comedy Connection and you murdered.
Fuck
and
yeah.
Now you're living in Austin now?
I just moved to Austin. I'm living in a 1-bedroom apartment here. I live in a mall. I do. I live in a place called The Domain, which is it's literally a mall. Like they just like store, like where I'm living now is essentially a storage unit for people to go to sleep. And then when you wake up, you go buy things and then you go back to sleep. Like it's literally, that's the dynamic right here.
That's what it sounds like.
When people ask me where I live, I tell them I live in the Peloton store. Like that's like, I live in a Neiman Marcus. Like that's exact. Like if you just go there, you'll find me. But I'm such white trash that like when I heard about this place and I checked it out, there's like a Louis Vuitton store here. And I was like, oh my God, I can live next to the Louis Vuitton store. I'm never going inside of it. I'll never step foot in it. And because I can't afford anything there, but I'm like, oh my God, like I made it.
I went to Vegas right before the pandemic and I just got too drunk and would try on like $4,000 Balenciaga coats, just pretending I could do and then get to the counter and be like, I can't do it. I'm sorry. I got to think about this.
I'm from an area to where because I've been to Vegas. I know exactly the area you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm from a town where like, if I just told people like being in that store, people are like, hey, congrats. Like people from my town are like, dude, Dan is in the Balenciaga store in Las Vegas right now. I don't have to buy anything. Just being in there is like an accomplishment.
Where are you originally from?
I'm from it's not that bad of a town, but it's a town called Brandon, Florida.
Okay.
It's right outside of Tampa. And if you have any negative stereotypes about Tampa, Brandon's going to do nothing to help with those. I like it. I genuinely like the people there are awesome, a little crazy like me a little bit, but it's kind of it's got its own vibe.
Yeah. Is it like a touristy area? Like no.
Where I live is absolutely not. It's known as actually Tampa's bedroom. We don't have our own mayor. We share like the mayor of Tampa with us. People like sleep in Brandon and then like work in Tampa.
Did you live there up until moving to Austin?
No, I lived there. I grew up there. Actually, my dad was in the Army, so we bounced around a lot. But I lived there for a little bit, like in elementary school. Then when I was in 7th grade, we moved back there. My dad retired from the Army. So I lived there from 7th grade until, I graduated high school.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Florida State. Then I moved to New York, was doing comedy there. And then COVID hit and, bounced around a little bit, moved back in with my parents. Things were,
I understand.
Things were going well.
In the same.
I would tell people
a living off comedy before Corona.
The few months before Corona, yes, I started opening for Tim Dillon, and that was my job. Was working with him, shooting sketches and video content. And then Corona hit. I moved back in with my parents. It's so funny. Like whenever I would like kind of talk to people about that, like at the time, I would be like, yeah, it's just good to reconnect with the family. It's just good to put in the time. It's good to like this is it's important. Family's important. But really, I'm living there because, I was not making any money.
Yeah.
And then my apartment lease in New York ended. And I was like, well, I'm not going to live here anymore because I was living there the first few months of the pandemic. And it was like a war zone.
Mm-hmm.
People were like, oh, my God, like you can't, like, you would be afraid to like touch anything, like your apartment, like, is this COVID? Is this COVID? And then I go down to Florida and everyone's like, masks off. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? I would be so mad. And now I'm like, masks off. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah, because you were touring. One of the reasons I wanted to talk to you is because like you also were able to make, you came back during Corona and like you were able to do what a lot of comedians weren't able to do.
Yeah, I'm super, super lucky. And yeah, I'm just lucky as fuck. Like lucky to be working with Tim, who the pandemic, I think, helped people find his podcast because people were at home, and watching a lot of YouTube. And, he already had a hilarious, one of the best podcasts out there, but it was not as big as it is now.
Yeah.
And people being at home, looking for shit. They're working at home. They're bored as fuck. They're looking for ways to entertain themselves. His was like a big part of that. A lot of people discovered him during that time. So it helped him, which helped me, because I'm working with him, and we were able to go on the road, do shows in venues that did not give a shit about COVID, Ebola, AIDS, anything, their kids. So luckily those places exist. I happen to be from one of those places. So, we hit a lot of those markets and the shows were amazing. People were super stoked to be out of the house and watching like live entertainment and comedy. And everyone was just after the shows meeting up with them. They're like, it's so great to be out of the house. It's so great to be able to see, you guys live, see Tim live. And now more of the country is starting to open up, which is really exciting. And those, like you said you saw me at the Comedy Connection in Providence opening for Tim. And that's a place we wouldn't have been able to perform at in the fall.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And it still worked, the social distance shows, but some shows they don't give a fuck about. They'll just pack people.
No.
How long did you go without performing during like, were you able to perform when you moved back down to Florida?
No, I wasn't performing there because really, like, living in New York for the first part of COVID was almost scarring, like, in a way where, like, when I got to Florida, I was just shocked and I was like, this is so irresponsible what everybody's doing. And I was living with my parents and I didn't want to get them sick. I did eventually get COVID.
Did you give it to them?
No, I did not, but I got it while I was there for Christmas, and they were super happy about that. And
like, I'm following my dreams, Mom.
Yeah.
Let me live.
Well, following your dreams is I got it at a strip club, so that's not exactly. I wasn't really following my dreams. Those girls, I don't even know if they were following their dreams. They're just following a check. And I was following my friends who it happened to be one of their birthdays, and they were like, "Hey, we're going to a strip club," and I'm like, okay. And then when I got there, I was like, "Make it rain," and and I was like, "Take off your masks. What am I paying for?" And then I got COVID.
Well, I went to my first strip club ever during quarantine.
Really?
in Providence, and they have like plastic up around the stage, like they're dancing in a fish tank, and they'd like twerk their pussies up against the plastic so it'd leave like snail trails and shit.
Oh my God.
I was like, I'm glad I don't think a strip club's where I want to be right now.
No, I mean, just you're probably looking around you, because I've been to a strip club only 3 times in my life, right? I'm not a big strip club guy. Tampa is like one of the capitals where I'm from. Like, Brandon's right outside of Tampa. Tampa is one of the capitals of strip clubs. You can go on a highway. There's like a county or US highway road where it's just strip club, like just lining either side of the street. Massive road, just like fucking crazy amounts of them.
Lots of homes.
Yeah, lots of strip clubs. A lot of people I grew up with are strippers now or work in strip clubs. It's like a actual like industry there.
Yeah.
And I've just never been a big strip club guy. I have nothing against it. But I did go to one during like the day on like a Tuesday when I was in Nashville, because we were like, oh, it'd be funny to pop in on like, 2 p.m. on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I imagine it's probably like what you saw. minus the snail trails. But just you're looking around you and you're like, oh, this is the bottom of the barrel of society. Like here right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And
it's like one creepy guy. Like I watched one, like a stripper, a dancer, rather she did a whole dance and she picked up a $1 bill. And I was like, damn, I feel bad. Like she's out there working her ass off. And I get it. Like, I've been on stage and like bombed before, you know, and she wasn't bombing. There's just nobody in the audience except for like, you know, just
her
a
act
guy.
was good. It just, there was no one there to enjoy.
There's just no one there. It's just like one creepy guy. He's like,
yeah.
Here's like giving her a dom, like stay away from her. And it was funny because I'm there with like a couple of my friends and a few girls that we were friends with who were also in town, and we're like normalish people, very normal compared to the people there. And all the dancers were just like hovering around us, just wanted to talk to us because there was like some sense of normalcy.
Yeah, you guys had all your teeth and
we had all our
limping.
teeth.
You didn't have a gimp arm.
We had no warrants out for our arrest. We didn't have to like let people know we were moving into the neighborhoods we lived in. We were normal people
in this Nashville strip club.
Yes.
Well, it was a first date. A girl invited me to the strip club on a first date. That was I didn't have a second date, but it was bottom of the barrel society. Yeah.
Oh my God. This girl invited you. Our first date was at a strip club. How did you meet this woman?
She went to one of my shows. She saw me do stand up, and then she's like, you want to go to like, I feel like maybe women see stand-ups as like the male strippers. Like you're just up there.
You're up there whoring yourself out.
Whoring yourself out for 2 people.
100%.
And she's like, I'll bring you to my side of town. And that's,
so was she a stripper?
She wanted to be. I don't want to be mean, but she was a little too big to be.
Hey man, tell her to go to Nashville. You know, one of the dancers there, she could work at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. This girl had 3 teeth and she was a pumpkin farmer on the side. So there is work out there for her. I promise you that.
The strippers she must have done this before, because the strippers would point at her and she'd flash her tits, and then they'd like touch tits through the plastic.
Why are you not married to this woman? I mean, like, what's
it
wrong?
Was like
with
boy
you?
in the striped pajamas, a hose.
So you did not see this woman again?
No, I did. I did not. It was just too much of a. I was like, because it was an act almost. I was like, this isn't the first time.
He's like, hey, I saw you whore yourself out. Now, like, I saw you flash your tits on stage. Now I want to do the same.
I can send you her number if you want.
I would
if you're ever
love
in the
if
area.
You did not. I would love to keep anybody like that, like, and not strippers. I have friends who are dancers, but like women, like that woman sounds insane.
Yeah, it was
no shade. Yeah. She's probably a lovely woman, and
she's probably saying the same thing about me. She's like, guys say give them exactly what they want. I do this, and he never tells. She's
never.
But no, that's not what.
So it wasn't like a Hinge thing. It's like she met her in person. You met her after a show.
Yeah.
Was it fun at least? Did you have a good time while you were there?
It's a great story. I think of I hung out with a girl once again because she texted me after 2 months and she was like, sorry I didn't text you. My doctor thought I either had leukemia or a broken back.
Oh my
it's like, those are not the same thing. But I hung out with her again just for the story. Like, I don't give a fuck.
Wow. Poor girl.
Yeah.
I hope she's okay.
Hopefully it wasn't both.
So what is like, I've been to Providence. It's a lot of it's funny. One thing I did notice about Providence is there's a lot of similarities between there and the area where I'm from. Like I looked in the crowd at the Comedy Connection. I was like, this looks like all of my friends from Brandon. We're like guys who are just kind of like, we're going to smoke some weed. We're going to wear flannel and sweatpants, and we'll stop by the gas station on the way home to pick up some food. Am I hitting a note here?
Yeah, that is the vibe. But see, I'm originally from, have you ever heard of Cape Cod?
Yeah.
Okay, so
I got to go there when I was in the Northeast.
Oh yeah. So you filmed the sketch there.
Yeah, we filmed the sketch wall there.
Yeah, that was a hilarious sketch with a great comic, Laura Severse. And
yes, Laura is awesome in that. Yeah, super funny woman.
I'm originally from the Cape, which is like a summer destination, but during the winter, it's just an opioid. There's literally an HBO documentary called Heroin Cape Cod, USA. So like, so if you wear flannels and smoke weed and get food on the way home, you're winning on Cape
Yeah,
Cod.
yeah, yeah. You're like, this is like the success stories.
Yeah.
That's why they could afford the ticket. I mean,
Yeah.
which wasn't even, insane. But yeah, no, I did feel like I do feel very at home at places like, because my parents are from the Northeast. My family's from the Northeast, or from Philadelphia.
Mhm.
So like when we go to perform, like we were performing in Warriors for Pennsylvania, and I go to the gas station and people are gambling there. They're playing the slots. There's a white guy behind the counter. His name is Sean, spelled Shean. I'm like, I feel so at home right now. Because
you're
my parents are
kind.
from Philly. I'm from Tampa. No one is going to accuse us of being elitist. I am like a breed of white trash. I'm like, how can we make the most white trash person? Let's take Philadelphia and then Tampa and then combine them.
But if you wore that bucket hat that you were showing me earlier, you would turn to an elitist. Like they would just like,
Oh
that's
yeah,
one of those
they'd be like,
hats.
this guy's killing it.
I for one summer when I was like 14 thought bucket hats were the move.
Yeah.
And
I could absolutely see you as a bucket hat guy.
I look back.
You had
at
your
those
little Mac Miller
pictures.
vibe going.
Exactly. It was a bad one.
We
I
talked
went
about it.
through some
Whenever I
bad
wear a bucket hat, I look like a Rugrats character. I look like a baby. I look like a child.
Yeah.
Whenever I wear stuff, I was a big. I had like a big tank top phase, not like a white beater. Actually, I did have a white beater phase.
I could see that on you.
Sixth grade. I thought it was cool to wear wife beaters, and that's what they're called. And then I wore like tank tops, like in middle school, like early high school. I would wear those all. I would
like ones with like palm trees on them, like Billabong or whatever.
I actually still have one that I wear sometimes that does have palm trees on it, and but they would be like blue with like stripes. It'd be like red, like all these different types of. I could not get enough. I had so many of them, and I would wear them all the time. And I would go to the mall, like the Brandon Mall, which is great. It has we have a 7-Eleven inside of our mall. So
we are from the same area because you just walk around the mall because there's nothing else to do.
I'd be wearing a blue tank top, blue striped tank top with camo shorts and my Chuck Taylor shoes. And I was like, dude, I'm in the mall right now. I'm 14 years old, 13 years old, however old I am, just feeling like the shit. I'm going into a Champs. I'm like, I might get 5 shirts for $5. You know what I mean? Like hit like a 5 for $5, like just plain red t-shirts. And I'm like, dude, I'm a grown ass man, and I'm cool. Like I was.
And you think you're gonna get chicks at 14 when you're walking around the mall. You're like, it's gonna happen. And it never once.
Best case, you smoke a Black and Mild and like somewhere around the mall. Like that's the best case at like 14 walking around the mall. Like that's how I remember we one time I was sleeping at a friend's house, like a little sleepover or whatever. And we snuck out to smoke a Black and Mild, not weed. We just smoked because we were like, dude, this is fucking cool, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think
wine
about
tip.
like when I first started
wine flavored. Yeah.
The trashiest.
Yep.
I had a friend who said I quit drooling, but I smoke Black and Milds now. I was like, that's worse. That's not
like,
how it works.
I by the way, I haven't had a Black and Mild in a while. I'm sure that I
should never smoke a Black and Mild.
I'm afraid to do it again because I'm like, damn, I love.
Are you a blunt guy?
I do like blunts. Yeah, love blunts.
I'm
a joint guy. Like if I'm rolling, if I'm just like, if it's up to me, just because I'm like, it's so funny. It's like the health conscious thing to do. You know what I mean? Like I try to like preserve my voice as much as I can. But yeah, I love a blunt.
I used to smoke 2 packs of backwoods a day, like weed in them.
Wow.
I'm 3 years old, all tobacco nicotine. And you're right. I feel like a vegan. I'm like, cut it out of your system. But like I just smoke weed. I haven't had any blunts in like 3 years or nothing. I used to smoke Frontos, like a whole pack of Fronto in a day.
Dude, we are like the same. It's so funny. Like we're the same fucking breed of white person.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's what I was saying when I was looking at the crowd. I'm like, I feel at home. Someone threw a weed edible at me. Were you at that show?
Yeah,
you were at the show. Yeah, someone threw a weed edible at me, and I was like, "Yeah, this is great."
Did you take it?
No, I didn't take it. Actually, wait, no, I didn't. We had like an early flight the next morning and I was like, I don't know this. When you ever get stuff thrown at you, it's like I didn't want to take it, but it was cool. I appreciated that person. If they're out there watching this or hearing about it, thank you.
I understand.
Take it, but next time.
Are you an edible guy?
I love edibles.
Because if there's a
Love
plane, I took 1,000 milligrams and flew to Spain, and like I love edibles.
you
on
can take
planes.
1,000 milligram edible in your apartment and you're flying. Like you don't need to get a plane to. That's
Yeah,
insane.
I came up on the Joey Diaz, like listening to Joey Diaz even before I smoked weed. So I was like, I'm just gonna take as many edibles as I can because that's what he did. And I took like with one of my producers, I took 1,300 like a month ago. Just
Are you still high? Like, are you still?
Yeah, I get those edibles. They put me in another space. But I've done DMT though. Nothing's gonna like get me to the.
Because I took an edible one time. I remember. Have you ever made firecrackers?
Yeah,
Like a little firecracker edible?
Yeah. They dry your mouth out like a motherfucker.
Dude, and just like not like a great high. It's just like you're just trying to get fucked up. So like I remember I made them the first time I made them. I was literally like Googling like recipes, and it was like I found like here's like I was looking up how to make like quinoa pasta or some bullshit, and like some little like cutesy Rachel Ray type like home cooking site comes up for like making these firecracker edibles. And I was like, okay, let me, they were like, you should use about 2 grams of weed. And I was like, yeah, great. And I ate it all myself, which I guess they recommended that for like a group of people. But I ate them all and I started feeling it within like 10 minutes, which is how you know, like it's going to be a mess. And within an hour, my roommate, I was just like, I don't remember what I was saying to them, but they like politely were like, I think you should go to your room. Like just very politely were like, I think, like they weren't being a dick. They weren't being rude. They were just like, I think literally the best thing for you right now. They're like, I think you should go to your room. And so I went to my room and I was just too high to like sleep. And I got so high, I had to take off work the next day. And the next day I'm like walking to get Chinese food. I'm walking at like a 90-degree angle. I couldn't stand up straight. And I'm just holding like this little umbrella, like, cause it was raining, just fighting off the rain, looking like those old people you see like in the city in New York,
like
who
a
just
little
like,
cart.
the wind has beaten them down and the weather and like just the weight of the buildings and bullshit is just like, they can't stand up anymore. That was me with this edible. And I'm like walking to get like looking like an insane person. And I got so high I'd take off work the next day. I can't. But then the thing about me is a lot of people, you'll hear those stories and like that's their story for how they stopped smoking weed. Right?
Oh no.
I just did it again the next day. I'm like, oh, just give me a little less, or like, oh, we'll find the dosage that works. We're not gonna stop. I'm not quitting. I'm committed at this point. You know what I mean?
I feel with weed and with mushrooms, I want to put myself in bad situations.
Oh, really?
You
took the 1,300. You took a 1,300 milligram edible.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It just feels like I've never taken any pills. I've never taken Adderall. I've never taken Xanax. But it did. I imagine like when people are fucked off Xans, like when I have friends who are fucked off Xans, like I felt that kind of where it was just like I was in this daze, but my mind was just like
I was never really like that type of person either, but I had a lot of friends who were really into taking Xanax and then getting like drunk afterwards.
Yeah, no.
Like, cause we were in college and they're like, it's just like a cheaper way to get fucked up. I'm like, it's both like a fine. It's like it's such a weird dynamic. Cause like, it's very irresponsible, like very unhealthy and unsafe. But at the same time, it's like financially responsible. You know what I mean? Like, these are people who have like good jobs now. They're like good with money.
Learning money saving techniques early
while risking your life to do it. I guess that's what it takes to get a good job or like be good at like finances. It's like, hey, like if you're willing to risk your life to save a few bucks, you'll be successful in America.
Yeah, yeah. If you can risk. That's true. It's why athletes get paid so much. They're risking their lives and they're getting a lot of money for it.
Absolutely. But I was never that type of person. They would Zanny bomb each other, do something called Zanny, like, you know what I mean? Where they would be like, oh, we got John today. And I literally was like, if any of you ever do this to me, I promise you, this is not a threat or a joke. Like it's a promise. I will kill you. Yeah, I will kill you, dude.
You
I can't have that happen to me. How we drugged Dan. We'll see if he dies. I don't know. Right, don't drug me as a haha gotcha.
That's that I couldn't.
Very Florida thing to do.
I couldn't imagine that being like, yeah, like I'm just gonna get Zanny bomb this guy.
And here's the thing, my friends, when they find out, they would be like, ah. And then some of, at the very least, but
It's
some
like
of them
an
would be like,
ice.
dude,
It's like an ice
thank
for
you,
more
man.
white trash. It's
yeah,
like,
they would thank each other. Like, oh, dude, thanks, man. I had a fucking great night. I wondered why I got so fucked up. You're drugging each other.
it's
And-
so fucked up, but it is really funny.
It's really funny. It is funny. They would all do it to each other. And it
Yeah.
was like a thing. There was like, all of my, a lot of my friends in college, not all of them, but like a section of them in college, they would, and in Florida, would just do it to each other.
Were you doing stand up in college?
I started doing like open mics my senior year of college.
That's exactly what I did too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I would
When
like
did you
run
graduate
a
college?
couple shows. 2018.
Okay.
When I
I graduated 2019. And you were doing it in Florida.
Yeah, in Florida, at Florida State.
Scene down
And there's
there?
like, and Tallahassee. I mean, there's like good people there, but there's no comedy club. There's one bar that actually runs like a great show, but it's like a weekly like open mic where they would get like real people. And I've gone back and visited Florida State, and like I've done that show. It's a place called Bird's Aphrodisiac Oyster Shack.
Wait, you have a clip from there, right?
I think I might. There's like a video of me there from like years ago on YouTube, and I'm like, how do I get this off?
Yeah, I think
someone else-
I was like trying
I
to
don't
look
want
up your
people to
clip.
see it. I'm like, someone else put it up. I'm like, take it off. I don't know how to like. I tried to report it, like on YouTube. I'm
You're like a girl who
spamming.
saw some like breakup porn on Pornhub. You're like,
Yeah,
"Take
it's
it
exactly-
off.
that's exactly
can
how I feel.
consent to this.
Exactly how I feel. I'm like, this is not a good representation of me. You know what I mean?
I don't like the angles. I don't
I don't like the angles. It's a fun time, but like I don't want that on there.
So,
But it's that's like it's like the comedy room there. So like there was very limited options. Then I moved to New York and did it there, and then quickly
why did you move to New York?
just to do stand up. And
Did you want to do it for like your whole life, like getting up until senior in college?
I did an open mic when I was 17 in high school. Really liked it, loved it, and just never touched it, pursued it until I was 21.
That's my exact same story. I actually flew out to LA, used a fake ID to get on Kill Tony when I was 17, got on, and then just went out again, got on Kill Tony again when I was 18, and then just never touched it again.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I just I didn't like just kind of want to try it. I was like super interested in like that type of thing, but nobody else was doing it, which is not like a deterrent, but like when you're that age, you're kind of like, okay, like I guess I go to college now, and like I was like dating this girl at the time, and like we broke up, and I was like, it just like was a whole like senior year type thing where I'm like, it wasn't like I was like, I'm just gonna go to Florida State and just party with my friends and fuck school and fuck like all that. Like I probably wasn't ready in the moment to go to college. You know what I mean? Like I probably could have benefited from like a little gap year. I got ready quick, but like, yeah, it was something I was like really interested in like in high school, like working in like some creative or entertainment capacity. But where I'm from, it's like not, none of that was around me. I didn't know anything about it. And then when I got to college, I kind of like met some more people who are into that. It got me into that space, and I started pursuing it again. But yeah, I moved to New York. And right after I graduated, I got a job at Chick-fil-A as in Times Square, and I quickly became like the janitor at Chick-fil-A in Times Square. That was my first job. I went to college to become the janitor at Chick-fil-A in Times Square. I was cleaning windows in this 2-story building. I was mopping floors. I was the only male working at in the front. It was me and a bunch of Dominican women from the Bronx. And just like, I was like a little pinball. They're like boxing me out and like bumping me around in there. Not intentionally. It just like was a very like a lot
you
of
were
us,
at the bottom of you moved to New York and you had to be at the bottom of the food chain.
Bottom of the bottom. Like literally like underground in this Chick-fil-A in the basement, like loading up like a bucket so I could mop.
A tear
And
falling from your face.
just a tear. I'm losing, like, I'm already kind of a thin guy, but I was became like emaciated. Like, I'm not even kidding you, dude. Like my first winter when I started getting cold in New York, and I had like no winter clothes other than like cheap bullshit that I just had from Florida. So
like a flannel's a coat.
well, I had like one winter coat, and it was like, it looked like I like bought it off of a homeless man. Like, and I'm not kidding, I would wear that. I would have like sweatpants because I didn't have like lawn johns or anything. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And I would walk down the street like half the weight I am now. And people, I'm not kidding you, would cross. There was instances where people would cross the street. I looked so crazy, and like I looked like a deranged meth head. You know, I already kind of have a Florida methy look to me, but this is, imagine like I'm losing weight. All I'm eating is like a bagel with cream cheese and a bag of plantain chips.
You were sick of Chick-fil-A.
That's my diet during the day. And I was working at Chick-fil-A for like the summer there, which, you know, I was cleaning windows, mopping floors, serving chicken, seeing crazy. It was so busy. It was a very huge, lot of tourists, obviously a lot of locals. People are like not treating you like sleeper. I was like, oh, this is gonna be great.
Treated with respect.
I was not treated with respect, oddly enough. I would be serving chicken and mopping floors as like people my own age who are like working on Wall Street would come in and like working in Midtown at their corporate banking jobs and being like, oh, this poor fucking guy.
Were you performing during all this, or you
performing at night? And like, I remember I was working 40-hour weeks, and they would want me to like stay longer, and I would just lie and be like, yeah, I got another job. Like, I can't stay here any longer. I'm already like, I just feel the end of the week like on my body. You know what I mean? Like when like Thursday rolled around, I'm like, I just feel it physically. It's working 8 to 4, running around, serving food, like mopping, cleaning, wiping things down, stocking, like doing all this different shit. There was one day where it was a particularly crazy day. Someone overdosed in our bathroom upstairs, so we stopped giving out the bathroom code. But that same day, we had this very, like, our rush period of time was so crazy. Like, it had to have been like hundreds and like thousands of people, because there's no drive-through either. You know, the Chick-fil-A drive-through is always packed. It's that, but like in person. Mm-hmm. And then plus being in New York City, plus being in Times Square. So we're serving all these people. Finally, the rush period, whatever, gets done. And I'm kind of standing there, like there's like a couple stragglers coming in. One guy comes in, I'm like on my iPad, I'm serving or taking his order. And then we're watching outside the window this fire department truck. They're working on like this manhole in the street. And it wasn't like a fire truck. It was like a truck that just said Fire Department of NYC. These guys get out, they're doing work on this manhole. And one guy climbs into the manhole. And me and this guy, I'm taking his order, we're both watching this. One guy climbs into the manhole. Within seconds, just fire explodes into the sky like 20 feet in the air.
Jesus Christ.
And I'm gonna be honest, the chances of this guy surviving, very little. At least he's dead. And the guys who he's working with,
I'd rather be dead than be a burn victim.
This guy would have been like the most burned victim ever. And the people he was working with or that came with him are just kind of like peering over the manhole, like and the guy I'm taking the order with is
didn't climb out of that manhole.
He did not climb out of the man. The guy never resurfaced. So the guy whose order I'm taking is looking out there like at what just happened, and he's shocked, and he's kind of looking at that, then he's looking back at me, looking at that, looking back at me, and then eventually he goes, I think, he's like, you should do something, you should call 911. And I'm like, yeah, so did you say Diet Coke? Like, I was like, dude, what do you want me to do? The guy's clearly dead already, and the fire department's right there. They're not.
I'm not a hero in this.
Meanwhile, they're like not even. They put the manhole cover back on. They climb back in the truck and they drive off because they're like, well, there's nothing we can do either. And the guy is petrified, just like has no idea. I'm like, dude, I've already seen someone die in our bathroom today. Like, this is not new to any of us. And I just served hundreds of people who are spitting at me. They're like, can I get barbecue sauce? I hand them barbecue sauce. They're like, I said honey barbecue. Like, you get that for 4 hours straight.
Like, I just saw 2 men die.
I just saw 2 people die today, and there's nothing I can do. All I'm thinking about is taking this fucking order and getting home. I have to clean this whole fucking place.
Yeah.
And he's like, you should do something. I'm like, also, what do you want the guy who's taking your order at Chick-fil-A to do? You want me to go save him? You think I'm gonna call 911? You call 911.
He
This
definitely
isn't like a
wasn't from
one-stop
New York.
shop. Like, you want to be a hero? You call. You go out there and save him.
Yeah,
And
I'm
he was
on the
still
clock.
freaking out. I remember he went to go like, because I would take his order to the iPad, then they'd go to like the front counter, pick up their food or order a drink, whatever. And he's like kind of talking to the person. He's like pointing back. He's like, yeah, I just see the thing. And they're like, what are you gonna do? Like,
You're
it
like,
was
what?
just, yeah. And that was my first job after college.
That's
was
the New
working there.
Yorker mentality. Like I dated a girl from New York for a long time, and I remember we were on the train, like a long train on the on the subway, and there was a woman who was dead on the seat from like an overdose, and no one was saying anything. And I turned to my girlfriend, and I'm like, my ex, and I'm like, should we, like, that woman's not breathe. It's been 15 minutes and her back hasn't moved. Like she's dead. And she's like, someone else will do something. And I'm like, it's the New York
That's
mentality.
such the New Yorker mentality where you're walking. I mean, it's some of it's sad because you see stuff like that. You see dead people on, because there's just
I
so
still
many
think
people.
about that. Yeah.
So like I'd be like, I remember one time I was like walking to an open mic and there's just a guy like on the ground, like the drool is like frozen out of his mouth. And like there was like paramedics working, like you kind of came there at that point, but like that guy had probably been there for like a day.
Yeah.
You know? And
They
like
just
you see stuff like that just because there's so many people. But it is also kind of like what do you want me to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and you're always in a rush there somehow. You're always trying to get to a place. I remember one time I was on the train and I was going into Brooklyn to like meet up with a friend to, I don't know, we were going to work on something. Maybe we were doing a show or something. And I was coming in from the city because I was living in Manhattan, and the train got stopped. And the woman was like, the conductor was like, "We are stopped currently. There has been a mental emergency. Someone is having like a serious, like, you know, they called it like a mental emergency." And I just remember being like, what the fuck? Can we fucking get the guy off the train and deal with it there? Like, you're always like exasperated.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like when you're sitting in traffic and you're like, I hope this guy's dead, because like I don't want to fucking be here anymore. Like,
better be good.
I better get an Instagram. I better get 50 likes out of this post or something.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is definitely the mentality. And then, you know, working that job, I did that for like, it was only like 3 months.
Did you do that up until you started touring with Tim?
No, God, I'd be dead. You can't, I mean, you can, but it's just, that's tough. You know, I started losing my mind because
I started balding at that point
from 8 to 4. That was probably when I started balding. I was doing someone else's podcast the other day, my friend Brendan Gay, and I asked him, I was like, "Hey man, how do I look?" He goes, "Good, you're balding." I asked my friend how I look. He goes, "Good, you're balding." Not think good, but hey, you just want to like keep an eye on it.
Set yourself up for that.
What's up?
Don't ask your friends that question because they're gonna ruin you.
Well, I was like, it wasn't even like a good, but hey, like, you know, just, you know, I would watch out for that because I'm losing my hair. I was like, "Good, you're balding." Like no in between, just good, not even a comma, just good, you're balding.
Have you tried taking? I used to take the pills. I got off them. I was like, "Fuck it."
This happened last weekend, and I've not thought about anything else since. literally every day, looking in the mirror, I'm like doing the hair, like pulling my hair back. You know, I'm wearing this hat now.
You're gonna buy a hat rack.
It's moving back. I need to find like someone. That's why I'm like, I need to date someone now, or like, you know, where they could just see me at least before.
At least before you lose it. Yeah. Can you grow a beard?
I haven't tried in a while to like grow a beard. I can grow facial hair. Yeah. I had a mustache for a little bit, very Florida. Over the quarantine, I had a nice little mustache. I shaved my head, and like 2 weeks into COVID, and that's kind of when I did notice that my hairline was receding. I was like, I'll never do this again. I was like every day praying, like, I hope this was not my last haircut.
Yeah. Because it just doesn't ever come back.
Every time I go to the barber, I'm like, this could be it.
It could, yeah.
Could be the last one.
I don't want the surgery either.
No, I don't want the surgery, but I'll do it. Like my goal, like, you know, you have career goals. You're like, I want to, my podcast to succeed. I want to set up a fan base. I want to, get maybe some views. I want to get on TV. I want to make movies. Mine is I just want to make enough money to wherever, like if it does get bad with my hairline or losing my hair, I can get the best treatment. Like that's literally my career goal, is just to be able to know that if it does go south, I can, whatever the best option is, that's available to me.
You're like, I will move into a shed.
I'm motivated by my hair going away. A lot of people are motivated by fear. Whether it's like fear of losing. Well, mine is fear of losing my hair.
That's
Some
what
people are like, oh, I'm afraid I can't provide for my loved ones or my mom or my aunt who lives with me or my kids. Mine is, I'm afraid I won't be able to afford the best hair treatment.
Fuck if I have kids and they want to go to college. How does my hair look?
Learn on the streets, right?
You got to be
between my hair and my kids. It's my hair for sure. I'll tell you this right now. There's no kids if there's no hair. No one's starting a family with a bald version of this.
Right? You could get really rich.
I mean, the way you said that, you're not even confident in it. Like the only way to get really rich is like, that's why Jeff Bezos has so much money.
And he fucks hot bitches.
Well, because he's like worth a $250 trillion.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
And he probably fucks like robots at this point.
That is true.
With like a bionic dick or whatever he has. It's the guy. He's bald, but that's what but he's been bald for a while.
That is true.
He's driven by that. Like, have you ever seen the documentary Enron, Smartest Guys in the Room?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Great documentary.
Yeah.
All those guys were like losers in grade school and high school and whatever. And, I wasn't always like the coolest kid. I had a lot of acne and, I thought it was cool to buzz my hair. I wanted to be like Eminem, but I had a lot of acne. I was skinny, very pale, and I'm wearing these tank tops. I was so dorky and not cool. It's probably, why one reason I do comedy, I'm motivated by like that. But those guys, had no hair. And once they started making all the money, then they got the hair replacements. They're going to the strip club every night, paying money for sex, and they're going dirt bike riding all the time. Like they're just living this crazy life, but they're for sure motivated by like, hey, like we're not going to get this on. We're never like the cool popular kids. That's all that stuff is going to gravitate towards us. We're going to have to like learn how to code and try to make a lot of fucking money and scam people
and grow our own hair
and grow our own hair, metaphorically. But
and that's what's motivating you
right now. Yes. So maybe it's a good thing. Maybe this will get me,
Well, how long were you in the city before you were able to be like, start touring?
Comedy. I got connected with Tim like a little over a year and a half into being in New York. He was looking, for someone to go on the road with him and, shoot video content, sketches, stand up, that type of stuff. And I was at that time just kind of started doing like guest spots, opening for him. Cause I didn't have any credits or anything like that at that point. So it was just kind of like based on like the video work and, opening for him, and like the guy who connected us, he was like, hey, he's a funny guy and cool dude. And then it just worked. Like we made some sketches together that did pretty well. They were funny. I was doing well in the shows, and, Tim's my fucking boy. I love the guy, and we were getting along very well. So he was like, yeah, this is your job. And then COVID hit. And I moved back in with my parents. I shaved my head. And
did they like, were they finally like, you actually made it, like we believe in your dream, and then you moved back in with them?
They were like, no, now so they're more like, okay, there's like indication that things are going well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I moved back in with them, I think they were just like, they're super supportive. My parents are awesome. They're super supportive, but I'm sure they were like, what the fuck is this guy doing? You know what I mean? And also like when I got there, my parents were arguing a lot. They were fighting. Like, I think they were going to get like divorced. They were going to like separate. Like that's what like every indication I saw was. It was like, you know, they're great. They're fucking awesome. They love each other. But like, it was like rocky at that time. And it was very weird being there because I was like, all right, like I didn't know this was the situation. COVID, makes everybody crazy. I know divorce rates have gone up, and I think China and some other countries during this time. I don't know about the United States. I'm sure
No,
to some
yeah,
degree.
yeah.
But I remember
Divorce has
being like,
definitely gone up
are
there.
they waiting for me to leave to get divorced? like am I?
Were you
And
like
then there was one day where they were both kind of, what's up?
Were you trying to like parent trap that shit, get them back together?
Well, I was like weirded out by it. I'm like, am I making it worse? Are they waiting for me? Should I leave and then they can do it? But then I remember there was one night where we're just kind of watching TV and they both started kind of like shitting on me and like roasting me. And they were like kind of laughing and like bonding over it. And I'm like, oh, I've become like the common enemy for my parents and it's saving their marriage.
That's amazing though.
Like me being kind of like this fucking idiot, like over here, this pale piece of shit. All he does, he just sits in the pool. Hey, our son's a bum. That guy's stupid. And I'm like, thanks, but also I'm like, oh, this is working. I guess like, unintentionally. I wasn't
more just for your guys' relationship.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like,
I'm gonna start doing fentanyl.
Yeah. They're like, oh, our son's such an idiot. Our son's addicted to drugs. What a loser. I kind of like you. Yeah, I like you too. We both hate this guy. Let's go to dinner.
That's so
like that's how like they could have met. Like it's just shitting on this kid,
shitting on you,
this guy. But I happen to be their son.
That's really.
I'm happy to play a role and
you in your mind can be like, I did it on purpose.
Yeah, like exactly how I was telling you about.
Part of my master plan.
Yeah, I'm like, I moved back home to save their marriage and to reconnect with my family, and I did it for like a very like altruistic, wholesome, selfless way. It had nothing to do with the fact that I had no job, no prospects, no girlfriend, no apartment, no car, none of that. It was all for their marriage.
It was all for them. And they better thank you later for that.
They should. They owe me so much. Yeah, they let me live with them for free and use their car and eat their food and, complain and mope around and be a selfish bitch and float in their little mini pool, drinking frozen margaritas that were, I got like a 10 for 10 deal at our local grocery store.
They really got into your head. This sounds like
it was all for them.
It was all for them. Well, now you're in Austin, which is,
I'm in Austin.
Is it as cool as like they say, like comedy in Austin?
The comedy is good. Like people here are cool.
You just had a show with last night. You had a show with one of really good friends and former guest Holly Johnston.
Oh yes. I meant to talk to you about that. Yeah, she was super funny and
she's hilarious.
Cool. Yeah, she's really cool. She doesn't live in Austin, I guess, but she's just visiting.
No, she's from Massachusetts near me, but she was just down for the week.
Yeah. So we did the show. And I'll plug it. Barrels and Amps. It was an awesome show run by Dean Stanfield and Spencer Halls, I believe is the guy's last name, and super fun show. So that was like a blast. They did a great job running it. People are super friendly and nice here, which I really like. The city of Austin, though. I mean, I do live in a mall, right? So like, I don't live in
next to a Louis Vuitton.
I live in a Neiman Marcus. So like, I don't live in like a great representation of what Austin is. With that being said, everyone who I've met here and they ask me where I live, I tell them, they all go, why? Which does not make me feel good about my decision. But then I ask them like, where I'm like, oh, where do you live? And they go, I live in a K-hole. And I'm like, okay, so it's not better. Like there's no homeless people where I live, but there are so many homeless people in Austin.
Yeah.
And some of the people here, not all homeless, but like some of the people, it's just weird and aggressive. Like I was at a stoplight the other day, like during the day, and the car next to me, people in the car got out to fight each other, like of the same car. I was like, I'm literally sitting next to them. I'm like, oh my God, green light, please, let's just go.
They fought each other.
They fought each other. I'm like, I've already been the common enemy for my parents who are fighting. Like, what if these guys were like, you know what, let's fuck this guy up together instead
and
of
then get married.
Yeah, then they get married. Yeah. And they're like, and everyone in Austin's like, that's Austin. That is Austin. It's beautiful. you know, these two men who were fighting and they beat up this guy in a Ford Fusion and they got married.
He probably yelled a racial slur.
He probably does. Yeah, the guy probably deserves. I'm like, just like in there. I'm like, oh my, I love my hybrid. It gets good mileage. And like, fuck this guy.
Pull you out of your car and just
Yeah. And but there is some really cool parts about it. Some of the food, the barbecue is, you know, good.
Mhm.
But it's a very interesting. Like downtown is very grimy. Is not the right word. Is gritty. Is maybe.
I mean, we just talked about people dying in New York, so like.
Yeah. There it has like there's a similar sense of like Gotham-y looking attitude.
You get up on stage a lot. It doesn't matter if people are ODing next to you if you can do some time.
I'll say this: everyone in downtown Austin, everyone in Austin looks like a GTA character. Like there's a lot of people I've never been in a city where people are wearing cloaks. People wear like cloaks and capes, and they're walking, and they all have like this weird communication. It's like a network of people. And it's ran like downtown Austin, parts of it at night, like feel like it's run by those people. And then we're all just trying to like coexist and not like be a victim. And that night, like I have a friend who's a bartender.
That sounds horrifying.
I have a friend who's a bartender in downtown Austin. And I was like, hey, how's it been? I was catching up with her. I went to her bar at like 8:30 on like a Tuesday just to pop in, have a drink and say what's up before a show. And she was like, you know, it was good. You know, I got mugged the other day. These three guys mugged me. She was like, my boss, he was getting into his car before work and someone put a burlap sack over his face, started shooting at his car and shot his wife before work. And I was like, how's his wife? Oh my God. Like, is she okay? And she goes, I don't know. And I'm like, oh, all right. Well, that's good to know. And I was like, well, this is like at 2 a.m., right? She's like, no, it was like a 9. And then like, I'm like, oh, okay. And it was raining on this night. I'm like, there's a weird vibe. And people, I walk outside to leave and people like pushing each other like angrily into puddles. And it's like a weird grit to it that I was like, okay, I'm glad I didn't live in downtown.
That sounds like a video, like a post-apocalyptic video game.
It's a post-apocalyptic vibe, but everyone's like, oh my God, Austin, it's so weird, it's so unique. There's a vibe, there's an energy. Meanwhile, like there's like someone's balls are in my face, and like I'm drinking like a $12 coffee liqueur bullshit.
Yeah,
like,
but you get to get up on stage.
Yeah, that's the most important thing.
It doesn't matter how much. It doesn't matter if you got mugged. If you can do,
I could get a burlap sack over my face. Someone shoots my wife, but at least this new bit is working.
I got a one-liner out of it.
Got a one-liner. New tag's working. Not my kidneys. No, those are gone. Gonna need one of those.
My wife's gone, but I got.
My wife's gone, but the tag it's here. And everyone is is kind of cool too, because I've gone to different pockets, to different spots of Austin. I do like it, but I like making fun of it.
Yeah, of course.
Because I live in a mall, you know. But I was like, there's a lot of people that they're like, oh, that person's like a farmer, you know, that like not in a negative way, but it's like they look very like, you know,
they're racist. They look racist.
Well, yeah, like the people that you might be like, this is like, they go to honky tonk bars, they say the N word and whatever. And then like you go to those honky tonk bars and like all the bathrooms are like gender neutral and we're all like line dancing around a lava lamp. It's like a weird eclectic energy. And like you meet those people and they're like, what do you do? They're like, oh, I'm in marketing. I'm in marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, or I manage a social media page for a startup. And it's like, oh, this is like, that part's cool. So it's like this weird, like, not weird in a negative way, but like this cool eclectic group and energy of people. But then that's mixed in with like tent communities
and danger,
and some danger. And like obviously not all the tent communities are like dangerous, but you just don't.
Of course.
You don't like seeing people living in tents.
No,
for their own sake. Like it's not good for anybody involved. I mean.
No, it's like what you saw in New York, like seeing a dude OD or explode, or like it's like
you don't want to see that. Like you don't want.
It's not good to just ignore it, you know? Like,
no, it's not good. Yeah, exactly. But then at the end of the day, it's like, what are you gonna do? I work at Chick-fil-A.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
You know?
I have to go to my set. Like, am I supposed to like?
I gotta go do a show. You know, I gotta go to IKEA.
But you get to get out of Austin. You're touring again.
I am touring. I was just in Tampa, Florida. We did Side Splitters.
You were back home.
Back home.
Hometown show.
Stayed in my childhood bedroom while I was there, which was nice. I got to
Did
see the
people come?
fam.
Like, do you get support in your hometown or in
I
your?
do, yeah. Like all friends come to see me, and my parents, they just got vaccinated, so they may go like to the shows the next time we're there. Um, but it is like that's such a cool experience to be able to go back to where I'm from and seeing people I grew up with. And then I was at a show, one of the shows was either Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm sitting in the back watching Tim set. This guy gets up to use the bathroom and he comes to stop by me and he goes, "Hey Dan, how's it going?" And I look at him like, holy shit. It was my 8th grade travel basketball coach,
Oh shit!
who I haven't seen since then. And as he was like, "Yeah, the whole family's here, our son, like who I played basketball with." And I'm like, "Dude, I haven't seen you." And I remembered him like instantly. It was crazy how like quickly I recognized him. I was like, what the fuck? Like this is really cool. And like, that basketball team that we were on, we won literally one game all year.
Mhm.
Like played like 50 games, won like one, but I was like our starting center. So that's where we were.
Yeah.
We're getting like dunked on. And then there's me who like I have to like defend. I'm like, "You're our biggest guy. Good luck."
Out there
I'm
and
like a
try,
string
champ.
bean of a human being. But I've also like been this tall since I'm like 14.
How tall are you?
I'm 6 feet.
Okay, I'm
Yes.
6'3", and I was so bad at basketball.
You're a sneaky 6'3". Sitting down, you don't look like a 6'3".
I feel like
You don't
I'm
look short, but you like a 6'3".
no, I feel like
It's
I'm like 5'7". I give off like 5'7" energy.
you give off, yeah, maybe like a 5'10". You don't give off short energy.
I
Are
do.
you Jewish?
No, everyone
You're
thinks
not?
it though. Everyone thinks it. I'm not.
The Jewish people, I never met like a 6'3" Jewish person.
My dad's 5'10". Like I'm much taller than my whole family.
My dad's 5'8". My mom's like
see,
5'3".
you understand. So you like tower over your.
Yeah,
like,
my grandma, she's like 4'1".
so you're like, don't
No.
make fun of me. I'll beat the fuck out of you.
Yeah, my grandma now, it's almost weird. I don't like talking to her standing up because she just
Yeah.
looks up at me with like her crazy face. I'm like, this is like we
Like,
sit
I
down,
gotta get
have a
on my
conversation.
knees like I'm talking to a child again.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I'm like, I'll like pet her. I'm like, they're there now. I feel like whenever I'm with her, I feel like I'm like CP3PO or whatever, or CP whatever the fuck, C3PO, where the fuck the guy's name is. Hold on, some idiot's calling me. Can you hear this?
I can.
I'm sorry about that.
So no problem.
Fucking
We're talking about CP3PO.
C3PO. Yeah, and I'm with like R2D2. I'm like, I'm literally like, my hair is like the color of C3PO, and I'm with like my grandma's like just as short, and she makes the same noises. I'm like, "Do you want anything to eat?" She's like, "Beep boop beep," like just like the
Are
mental
you
capacity.
sexually ambiguous too? Because that was
Yeah, me, I am. Yeah, I am.
that's what
I walk
C3PO's
like this.
whole gig.
C3PO. Yeah, he's like,
I want
you don't know what he's about, or they, or
Yeah, what is that?
she even.
Yeah, George Lucas was very gender progressive.
Yes. So I mean, some of his character is a little racist.
Little
Uh,
racist, but-
He's like gender, we're good with. He's like, but race, we're going to be highly offensive.
He uses the Milo Yiannopoulos defense. He's like, I'm married to a black person, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, Jar Jar Binks.
George, they had to give Samuel Jackson the purple lightsaber. Like,
And then in the Phantom Menace and the prequels, which that was like his shit, because he just kind of he directed the first Star Wars. I don't know if he wrote the screenplay, but he wrote the story, maybe co-wrote the screenplay. The Phantom Menace, obviously, like he wrote and directed, but he like all the alien characters have like very offensive, like sous chef, like Japanese voices. You notice that?
yeah.
Like literally, like if whatever the most racist Japanese voice you have in your head is, he was like, those will just be the aliens.
Yeah, and no one's complaining about that with this Asian hate. I don't know if you are into the rap world at all, but there's
am a
a
little bit.
rapper, YG, who
I do know YG, yeah.
Okay, off his debut album that came out a long time ago, My Crazy Life, he has a song where he talks about how he learned how to rob. It's called Meet the Flockers. And he goes, we always picked Chinese neighborhoods because they don't believe in bank accounts. That is the lyric in the song.
Oh my
and they
God.
pulled the song off of streaming services because of that lyric. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, and they don't get mad at George Lucas.
No, I mean, I watch it. And I'm like, holy fuck, this is crazy bad. Like,
Yeah.
I grew up with the prequels, so like those are like Star Wars in a way to me. Like my childhood Star Wars, like the action figures were all from those movies. No shade on the movies, but like, yeah, some of them pretty racist,
Yeah.
pretty offensive.
Well, it's like old Scooby-Doos are super like there's a lot of like old race. Like my grandfather's named after Robert E. Lee. Like,
Oh, really?
yeah,
You were not
was,
Jewish.
Yeah, no, I'm not Jewish. Yeah, no, that's.
I mean, there's still like Robert E. Lee middle schools out there, like those type. I'm sure that those exist.
There's pictures of me dressed up in 4th grade as Robert E. Lee because my family wanted me to like. So I had a full Confederate outfit on, and I have the fake beard and mustache. Yeah.
Wow, that's insane. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't.
I'm gonna get canceled for that. That's like, it's like blackface in the future,
dude. It's really nuts. But you're like a kid. Like your parents like put this on. You're like, sure.
Could you cancel a kid for blackface? Like if there was
eventually, yes.
If he was like 10 years old and he had blackface and then it came out later.
It's the thing is with like some of the canceling stuff is it's like if you're like in the public eye, like, and that stuff comes out, it's like you're not forced, but sometimes strong armed to like got to comment on it, becomes a thing. And then it's all like association, right? It's like, are people when they think of you, are they thinking of that thing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you're 10 and it's like, you don't know what you're doing. Your parents are telling you to do something. Exactly. And you're like, okay, I'll put on. It's like, try this new shirt that Aunt Tracy got you. And it's like, all right, fine. Put on this Confederate outfit. And like, Mom. You're like, no, come on. Before we go, I want to see it on. I want to know if it fits.
It's about
I want to know if the Confederate uniform fits.
If anyone asks you, just say it's a states' rights issue.
It's a states' rights issue. And by that, I mean my parents don't have custody over me. They lost custody over me over that uniform.
That is, I don't even know where that picture is, but I can't wait for the day for it to come out.
Yeah, neither can I.
It's gonna be a fantastic.
Speaking of rap, DMX died today.
I know.
You upset about that a little bit?
I mean, I'm sad about it, but it's like he's not one of those ones that I'm like, what? He died? It's like he's always had problems with drugs.
How did he die exactly?
It was an overdose that put him into a coma, and then he was in a coma for like a week, and then they finally had to pull the plug because he was like brain dead and shit.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
50 years, he was 50. They died the same day Prince William died.
Yeah.
Almost twice his age.
They probably fucked the same amount of chicks.
Dude.
Who do you think fucked more chicks? DMX or Prince Andrew?
Dude, Prince William.
William, I'm sorry.
Bro, imagine like dying a prince too. Like you never make it to like you could never die a king. You die a prince.
Yeah.
Like it's
I mean, he was one of the Epstein people though. So are we
William was?
Wasn't he? Wasn't he?
I think Andrew was.
Oh.
Yeah.
They all probably fuck kids.
I mean, the whole royal anyone with like of that stature and with that amount of money, like I assume the worst. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I think we're at a point now where like with information, all that stuff's out there. You find that stuff out about them, and you're like, of course, yeah. Like like the veil has been lifted.
Well, you talking about like you got your parents back together on purpose. If I never get rich, I'm gonna be like, it's because I never wanted to fuck kids. Like, I'm sorry. Once you get rich, that's what happens. I didn't want that to happen to me.
That's what they make you do. Yeah, it's so weird. Like that part of like wealth and fame is never obviously like the kid stuff is horrible, but like that weird like elitist, hey, welcome to our club. Not even just the kid thing, but like that stuff is never been like an appealing like this stuff. The what that appeals to like some dark minded, obviously, individuals.
Well, were you a conspiracy person? Are you a conspiracy? I mean, you're with to Tim now. So that's a conspiracy, you know, like where you like
yeah,
that.
yeah. I would say that I'm like a conspiracy person. I'm not like a super well versed. Like he knows like all these conspiracies that I don't.
Yeah.
I like kind of like I'm like a basic bitch conspiracy person.
Yeah.
Like I'll play the hits.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I was a little kid, I remember being like obsessed with the Loch Ness monster. Like that was my shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I was like Bigfoot, Loch Ness monster, and then
those are my jams.
Yeah.
You know, like very like suburban conspiracy theories. Like, you know, I rock
Then
with
you find
Bigfoot.
out real conspiracies, and sometimes you're like, I don't even want to learn about.
No, I'm like that's
wanna...
why I like the Bigfoot stuff more now.
Yeah,
it feels like fantastical.
Exactly. It's like I don't want to learn about all the shit that's really happening. Like,
no, dude, it's like
I remember
red pill,
going
blue
through
pill.
reading
Give
all
me the one where I don't could just like know it's there without knowing or seeing it all the time.
Yeah, I remember like 2016. I was so deep into like 2015 to like reading all the Podesta emails and shit, and being like, I don't even like why I don't care. Like I don't want to.
Dude, it doesn't. No part of that makes you feel good.
I was wearing a Joe Rogan t-shirt. I was really stoned, and Gary Johnson took a picture with me and used it in his campaign, and I voted for him. I was like, that's
dude, I voted for Gary Johnson too.
Yeah, there we go.
I was like, my boy, dude. It was kind of like a protest vote in a way. Like I was like, yeah, I'm doing the right thing. I remember like going back on my my Facebook, because I don't really post on Facebook or anything, but like in like those years or around that time, I was like, damn, I was such a Bernie bro back then. Like I was like an OG Bernie bro, where I was posting about Bernie all the time, sharing Bernie stuff.
You're a hipster. You're a political hipster.
Betsy DeVos, like all that stuff. Like I was sharing, like this is horrible. Like you can believe this is like the society, like not society is horrible, but like stuff like very critical of kind of like either side, but obviously I had a lot of anti-Trump stuff. You know, like would try to making fun of him, and then but I was like I was all in on Bernie, and then I'd post stuff like the DNC fucked Bernie over. This is that. Like it's like I was I'm not really into it, but like into where I knew so much, but I was like kind of had a little passionate flame for it.
And then you were like, yeah, it's not worth. At least for me, it was like this much energy is not worth it because it's ruining my day.
We're not gonna. Nothing we can do. All I can do is like not be a dick to people. Try to be good, like as rational as I can be. Like there's so little, like that's like a lot. You know what I mean? Like, and people get sucked into the wrong things. I think sometimes because like they're like, okay, what can I do to help? What can I do? And it has to be taking these hard stances. And no, I'm fighting this fight. I'm campaigning. Like no, just what you really can do is be like good to the people around you. Don't be mean or inflammatory and critical and shutting people down because of their opinions. Try to be open-minded. Like all that stuff is super easy and reasonable, but people are like, no, this is the way to make it.
No, like I see people who are super politically like angry online and they don't see their kids. Like, you know, like,
exactly.
Like
that's the best, motherfucker. Best way to phrase it. That is the best way to phrase it.
It's
like
true.
If you go see your kids, that is more than you'll ever do retweeting, you know, whether it's, you know, Trump or someone in that, you know, on the right or, you know, AOC, anybody on the left or right, it doesn't matter who it is. Go see your kids, take them to a movie, take them to a park.
Do something.
You know, not like, what can I write on Twitter
that's going to piss my aunt off?
That's going to piss my aunt off. Or what TikTok can I make to just really show the left or really show the right that this is how it is? How about you go out there, you know, maybe give some change to a homeless person. You don't need to film it. And, you know, go like take your friend out to lunch. I mean, it's so like you literally don't have to do much to like make a positive impact on the world. Because that being nice to one person, then they're like, oh, fuck, I'm in a good mood today. Maybe it impacts their work in a positive way or their night. They pay it forward. It's like, it's so easy, but that's not how people think.
No,
not at all. But people,
it's good that you have that mindset, and that's how I feel too. And I think that's a good lesson for people to learn. It's just like,
dude, I just want to do my own shit. Like I want to try to be successful for you. I try to want to be funny. Yeah. I want to try to be funny. I want to be funny. I want to entertain people, and I want to like keep you know, like good vibes, and
Yeah.
because those are like my friends and people I grew up with and my family, like I'm blessed on all that stuff. And there's so much bullshit out there that, dude, it's just annoying. I feel like people like me and you, like, you know, being in that room in Providence, like I'm looking out, I'm like, oh, these are people who they just want to find the best way to exist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we're not gonna be at the front lines of anything.
Yeah, no, I just want to tell my jokes,
Yeah.
talk to some rappers and comedians, and enjoy life.
That's it, bro.
Thank you,
That's it.
man. This was a great conversation. I'm really happy to have you on. And do you want to plug your shit?
Yeah, you can follow me at Dan Carney on Instagram, Twitter, and I don't know, when is this gonna drop?
This is gonna drop next Monday.
Okay. So yeah, get me on those because I have some stuff coming out that I'm working on. So you guys follow me and be a part of that. And you know, I'm on the road with Tim Dillon. So like if you're a fan of him, obviously you'll see it on his social media, and I repost that stuff to mine too.
Definitely go see you guys, because both you guys kill. I mean, it was all you really impressed me when I got to see you, and then Tim is always a killer. So
Tim is absolutely, without a doubt, one of the best. And we're talking about Tim Allen, right?
Yeah, Tim Allen. My Home Improvement was my favorite show growing up.
Yeah, that's the show we're referring to. No, of course, Tim Dillon. So yeah, see us on the road, and follow this podcast, subscribe to this podcast, support Sam.
Thank you very much, man. And I appreciate you having you on. Thanks for everyone for listening. Subscribe and shit. Goodbye.